Bad Moms is written and directed by John Lucas and Scott Moore, who did also 21 and Over, and stars Mila Kunis, Kristen Bell, and Kathryn Hahn. This film is about three moms who are overworked and underappreciated who one day finally decide that enough is enough and they need to put themselves first for the first time in a long time. Now, Mila Kunis' character, Amy, is the main focus of the film, and she decides that she doesn't like the way things are being run by the perfect moms at school. So she decides to run for the PTA president, and we kind of get like this dynamic of that mixed with these moms trying to have fun. It's kind of a mishmash of those two stories. This film wasn't really on my radar, but it was definitely on my mom's, and I can kind of understand why after seeing it, and after seeing it, I feel like I definitely appreciate my mom a lot more. As always, let's start with the positives of this film. Now, this film is in no way perfect, but there was a couple of aspects that I thought were refreshing and kind of nice to see. First being the theme. It was definitely refreshing to see a film where the moms take the center stage and not necessarily are a secondary character or have a tragic, sort of dramatic story arc, but this one they actually get to have fun. And it's fun to watch these moms have fun after seeing some of the crap that they go through in the beginning of the film, and like the way they're treated, the way they're underappreciated. It's kind of nice feeling to see them having fun. And then also in a lot of ways it reminded me of Bridesmaids, with it being a female-driven, female-led comedy, is that it did a lot of things right. I don't think it quite got the same amount of things right maybe as Bridesmaids did, but I liked how the theme kept a lot more realistic, a lot more grounded, a lot more relatable to the audience than maybe Bridesmaids did, where it kind of went a little over the top at times. The second best aspect of this film is the characters. For at least the first 40 minutes or so, when we're getting introduced to the characters, when we're learning more about them and their arcs. Now, like I said, the beginning of the film, they sort of have this rut. They get out of that rut and they start letting loose and having fun. And like I also said, it's fun to watch them have fun. These characters have a pretty good development for the first 40 minutes, but then we start getting into some issues, at least I saw, once we get past that about 40 to 45 minute mark, and it just sort of felt a little bit repetitive. So I'm going to start leading into the negatives of this film, piggybacking on that thought. So like I said, the first 40 minutes were pretty good. I liked the character arcs and all that stuff. But then there's that second half of the film. It just didn't feel like the same story anymore. Like I said, it mainly focuses on Amy, Mila Kunis' character, and she goes through this arc of she's underappreciated, she's having difficulties at home, she's trying to do all these things. She decides she's kind of fed up with that and decides to focus on herself and sort of having fun, reliving some things. And then it kind of goes into, she makes friends with these other moms, and then she wants to become the president of the PTA in order to take down, more or less, the perfect mom that is Christina Applegate. And I feel like that once you hit that 40-minute mark where she decides she's going to start running for the president of the PTA, the entire dynamic of the film changes. I felt like it got a lot less fun. I mean, it had its fun moments. There's like this party scene, which is very reminiscent of 21 and Over, which the directors and writers also did. But I felt like that the second half of the film was completely kind of disconnected from the first half of the film. That's kind of how I felt about it, at least as a 25-year-old man watching these late 30s, early 40s women being moms. But maybe that was just something that I had noticed, that the story just completely changed, and it kind of got a little bit flat. It fell flat on its face a little bit in the second half. And it was a little bit, not boring, but it just wasn't as entertaining as the first half. Also, when we get into the second half of the film, things become a little bit more repetitive. I don't know if it was the editing, the writing, the direction. I'm not entirely sure what aspect is to blame for this, but it felt like it started repeating itself. This was the repetition of things that happened. It happened probably about 3 or 4, probably even close to 5 times throughout the course of the film. So what would happen is that it would have an exterior shot, an establishing shot, so you know where these characters are. Then it would cut into the interior with our characters. They would be sort of like in this awkward situation maybe, or trying to figure out what they want to be doing in this location. And then they sort of start conversing. One of the group decides to go out, sort of explore, have fun, I guess. And then like they would have like this sort of banter where they would be sort of awkward and maybe it didn't work in certain situations. They would be out of their element more or less. And then there would be sort of they would start to have fun, but then they would start to have too much fun. And then there would be this big joke, there would be like a pause for like half a second, and then it would hard cut, and then the whole cycle would start all over again with another exterior shot of a new location. It just felt like they didn't know how to transition between scenes, and I felt like that was kind of hurting the film. It almost felt like a Family Guy episode or something, where they did hard cuts between A and B of scenes. The grade I'm going to give Bad Moms is a C+. I feel like this movie was a lot of fun, but the second half, it kind of fell flat on its face, like I said before. The pacing and the tone just completely were different. If they were able to keep that fun energy and sort of that same story arc that they did in the first 40 minutes as the last half, I think it would have been a lot more entertaining. It would have been a much better female-driven comedy, probably more along the likes of Bridesmaids if it had kept that pace and tone, but since it didn't, it just fell a little bit short for me. Now, normally this is the part in the video where I tell you to comment below what you think about Bad Moms, have you seen it, have you not seen it, stuff like that, but this time I'm not going to do that. This time I'm going to tell you, go out, call, text, maybe even see your mom, tell them that you love them. They're very underappreciated and they definitely deserve that more often. I call and text my mom every single day, at least one time. But if you're also unfortunate enough to have lost your mom maybe, say a little something to yourself because they did a lot of things maybe that you didn't notice when you were growing up. And this film kind of reminded me of that. Maybe there were some things my mom sacrificed for me that maybe I didn't notice because I was just a selfish kind of kid growing up. I don't really know. But either way, just tell your mom that you love them. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Like always, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos. And we'll see you in the next one. Love you, Mom.